right, it's the corner of Lake Minnetonka, closest to Minneapolis, really.
Where the bridge is, you know, right?
The
Where the bridge. Mrs. Field, it was a little brown shingle house. David had the mumps when he was there.
No, you had shingles.
And the shingle house. Yeah.
I'll never forget that because
Well,
you yelled day and night.
I'm sure I did. It was the worst thing that ever happened. I was 12. You were probably ready to strangle me.
The Sullivans lived nearby. Do you remember the Sullivans? Oh, we lived in that, or rented that a couple of summers. That was nice. It had a tennis court and it had
Yeah, that was a nice place.
a
The
little
lake?
boathouse,
Yeah.
and that was where I lived.
Yeah.
In the
Until I
boathouse?
yelled too much. Well, you were in Agadir.
I've never been so, I mean, you know, I can hardly remember it now, but
Oh,
oh
yeah.
my, all I remember is waiting for Dad to come home to bring me something else to read. You know, and it was before, they didn't have any way to treat it then. They didn't know what to do.
Well, there still isn't any very good way
I
to.
don't think so.
Just very uncomfortable.
Right.
But I remember having a birthday party, it must have been the year after the shingles, where there was a pony. There was a pony down the road.
Oh,
You don't remember that, huh?
no.
Okay.
I do, because we've got a picture of it someplace. Do you have that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'll look, I don't,
Well,
I'm not.
I've seen one, and I
It
don't.
didn't belong to us.
No, but I think we read
it
it
was one
at
you
home
rented.
Oh, I see.
for my birthday
Oh,
party.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember Lydia. Remember Lydia?
Oh, yeah.
Lydia was
Lydia was
helping
there.
us.
Oh,
And she went and worked for the Lewises.
that's right.
But the Brunsdales were usually in the vicinity of where we were.
Yeah, we were always
Mhm.
We
around.
were always right with them because the
Yeah, we
pictures
were
I
right
have.
next to them out at Spring Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all those pictures I have are, and then when we were at the New Hall House, they were at something else at the Lafayette Club.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
we
were
were always
all together, I know.
in similar spots. And then you brought them up to encampment. Introduced them to encampment. Well, Rob had a couple, what questions did you want to ask about Dad?
Nothing in particular, really.
I think that you said you wanted to know about something.
We're glad to answer anything you have to ask, if we can answer it.
I'm kind of curious, how did you get involved up at Hammond?
Oh, now let's see, who got us up there?
One of your badminton, Mrs. Duff, maybe?
Heck, who was it?
Well, one thing I do remember is that Dave Sutherland was building a new house and wanted to sell
Oh, yeah.
his house,
Uh-huh.
but
That didn't get us.
precisely why that,
I don't remember.
I'd been up there on parties at the Duff, or not the Duffs, the Sheldons.
Yeah, that's who it was.
I bet it was Faye
I
Sheldon.
think it was Mrs. Sheldon.
It could be. She would have.
I just want to see
That's
how this is going
something.
again.
Oh, you want me
But
to?
anyway,
Oh, all right, get my glasses in the camera. Now, the new personnel. I'll see if I match you well enough or not.
Oh, I think we matched.
Oh,
perfectly.
terrible. Tom said we need you instead. You go better with this than I do.
Is that still recording?
Still going, a little
When the red light is on, it means
It
It means it's
is.
going. Yep, it is great.
Oh, I never heard of such a thing.
Well, it came around about 10 years ago, maybe? No, not that. Not ago.
well, they've always had, when you've been at our house, we've rented television and movies and looked at them on a
Yeah.
television screen.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what Robbie's doing is using film
Oh,
that's
But-
similar to that.
Is this film, or does this have to be developed?
No, it just goes on right under the
That's
video
what I
tape.
thought,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's just
doesn't
like a
have to
tape
be.
Then
recorder.
you put it right in the TV when we get home.
Yeah.
That's the amazing
Yeah.
thing, so.
Isn't that something? I never knew such a thing.
And the
Existed.
sound goes along too,
Yep.
that's even more
There's a
amazing.
microphone right up here, and I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, they became a little bit, you know, they're getting
Yeah.
better and better as far as
Well, they've got smaller
being
ones
able
that
to
you
get
can
a
just
hold
hold
of
in your
them.
hand.
Yeah. When we were at the concert, when Robbie was singing, my friend was in front, in the row right in front of Bob, taking a picture of the whole,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
of the boys she had me look through it, but I couldn't see, but all she had really was this camera with a little battery.
Yeah. Theirs is a little one, and then you take it and put it into the bigger tape. So,
Well, she's recording everything that her son has done.
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say, one thing that strikes me is there's just gonna be so
Oh, I
much
know.
boring
Yeah.
footage.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine for the person who takes it,
Well,
but that's about it.
That's what it should be for.
Yeah,
Well, and I don't, I would think
just
it-
so one doesn't have to sit down and watch.
it's like watching
somebody
movies when
else's
people, when you come
home
on over and
movies.
see my home movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, it's,
But I think an occasion like this is great.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Topsy, come on, you can fit in here too.
Oh, well, you haven't been there very long.
Well, you can fit right here.
Nice place to sit though.
You can give a new dimension. It's lucky you're tiny.
Whoa. It pays.
Robbie and I take up the same amount of room. Yeah, but that's the thing.
I like to,
It's a pretty area.
thank you. I like to hear stories about when you visited Grandma Thurman.
Oh.
What happened
Is
there?
that right?
What
When
happened?
she would say, go get the rutabaga.
Oh,
Yes, I've never heard that. Tell me about it.
oh, well, that was,
You can come sit down on the floor with me.
my grandmother and grandfather sort of ran the house together, you see.
Where did they live?
In a little town near Madison, Evansville, Wisconsin. And she'd always want George to go down and get the cabbage or whatever was in
I
it.
think you said it was a squash.
Squash, yeah. George always had to go down. George was my grandfather, George Thurman.
And didn't you say he was a great big man and she was
Great
a
big,
tiny little
tiny.
woman?
She was about Topsy's size.
And she had 13 children?
Yeah.
Mm.
And she'd say, George, go and get whatever we want, whatever they had.
Squash.
Squash. We ate very well at their house. She was a wonderful cook.
And he was the one who had trotting horses.
Yeah.
And you used to ride in his lap in the sulky?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what fun.
Were you scared? Were you scared?
No, I loved it.
Well, you were used to horses.
Yeah, we had horses always. My mother always had a horse. My father always had a horse, and I had a horse. Very busy riding our horses.
That may be one of the reasons your mother's trip around the world was so interesting. I love that one picture we have of her on the elephant.
Oh,
I mean, how many women, what was she, about 50?
I suppose.
How many women who widowed at that point in time would have taken off and gone around the world? I don't think very
I
many.
don't know.
She
She was bored, I think.
She was, fearless.
Well, she didn't have much to think about, only me and here in this area. So she didn't have a big family, I mean. She had a lot of sisters and brothers.
But you and Dad were married at that point, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you see, she could take off and do her trip.
Yeah.
But I still think that she was pretty much of a, a little ahead of her time to take off and do that, because I doubt if too many people would have, and, sort of the hands-on kind of trip. Because when you traveled then, it wasn't like it is now.
Oh, no, not in fact, Kate.
Sorry, Ma. I didn't have you.
That little red.
Oh, I wasn't in there? That's all right.
Maybe
I'm
I
happy.
should drop out.
No, we're fine. That's perfect, just like this.
If Mom isn't in there, she doesn't mind.
Oh,
I don't mind.
perfect.
I don't mind.
This Mom. You'll have to come get in it again, because no one's gonna have this to record you.
Oh, I've been there for long enough.
Oh, all right. Okay.
You've been in it already?
Oh, yeah.
When?
Topsy and I took his place.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's it.
You and I have the longest run in this.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose they'll probably charge us for it.
Yes.
Well, now, what other details do we want to get you to tell us about?
Let's see, what else have I done that's been very important?
Well, I can think of a couple
I
of
think of
things.
two.
What are they?
Well, one was the trolley system you had between your bedroom and I think it was Phyllis
Oh,
Burghart's
yeah.
over Logan Avenue,
Yes.
so that you had a rope with a basket on it, and you could
We
send
sent
messages
things
back.
up and down the street.
And this is the lady who introduced you to Dad?
Yeah.
And you had a little trolley system with her when you were younger. That's a good friend.
Yes,
And the other story I remember you're telling was about the, I guess you'd call him a groom. But anyway, the man who took care of the horses at Mount Curb,
Oh,
who
uh-huh,
had too much to drink once,
yeah,
and what did he do?
What happened?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, what I think you told me was that he got up on top of the barn,
Yeah,
and,
that's what it was.
Ah,
I had no control for him at all.
so he had to be fired.
Yeah, he sure did, that was terrible.
So you had a pretty exciting childhood.
I just took it for granted, I suppose, that everybody did.
sounds like you had a lot more fun. Or more interesting
Well, I being
anyway.
an only child, I had plenty to do.
And plenty of attention.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
mean.
true.
So, that's why I suppose I got into everything.
Did you have any cousins that you were especially close to when you were younger?
Well, I remember cousin Charlotte and cousin
Yeah.
Carl.
They were Heidi's?
They were not Heidi's, they were Heidi relations.
Yeah.
And my mother had a huge family, and I had cousins by the dozens. As they some I hardly knew.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they live most?
They lived in Wisconsin, near Madison. And my father's family, the other people lived in Illinois.
The Thurmans then were near Madison,
Yeah,
and the Heidi area were near, was it Durand?
Durand, Illinois. Near Beloit. I don't think I've heard of Beloit for 1,000 years.
I think there's a college there.
Yeah, there is a college, isn't there?
I think so. But we, when Bob and I moved to Milwaukee, we did look up your one cousin, Helen. And I can't think of her last name now, but I have a picture of her. And your cousin Helen, who must have been a Thurman cousin.
Oh, probably.
And she was awfully nice to us when we first went down.
I wonder. I don't place her at all, but her name was Helen, it's probably Thurman.
I mean, that's not her name now, but
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out, because I bet that.
My mother had 12 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So they're pretty hard to take care of.
Was she the oldest?
No, 2 or 3 older than she. Very healthy family and the cutest little grandmother you ever saw in your life.
Well, they must have
The
been,
mother
they had
of that, of those big kids.
13 living children. It's,
Yeah, it was
at that
amazing.
time was
She was, what was her name, Mother?
bump.
She was Helen Bump?
Helen Bum. Her her
Yes,
married name was Thurman.
No, but I mean, that's why I wondered if that was Helen.
Yeah.
And George was her husband.
Helen and George. George Thurman and Helen Monk got married.
Granny Mars was the one who had relatives Leafy Branch.
Right. Well, Rob was saying Bob's mother had,
Yeah,
so the names were interesting in those days anyway.
yeah.
Well, I
But
think
I
we've done a
can't
pretty good
imagine
job
my-
here.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
the strain is beginning to wear me out.
Your brain is not used to working
I
on
was
Friday
thinking
night.
I ought to give a salute to my grandmother, because she was the tiniest, cutest little lady you ever saw with 13 children.
Not bad.
Did she have a big voice with which she controlled all those children?
No, she didn't
Just
have-
an iron will.
She's just a perfect woman for the job.
What did your grandfather do? Was he farming or was he?
He was very interested in horses, and he
Oh,
was
yeah.
a farmer. But he really dealt in horses, I think, quite a lot.
That's right, you said he had the sulky and everything.
Did he breed horses?
Yes, he was really interested in that. That was what it is. I don't think he ever did much of a business in it, but that was his.
Did he ever race
Yes,
himself?
yes, he had a race car he raced.
I see. Well, that would be exciting.
Yeah.
That reminds me of somebody else that we used to talk about, and that I remember, Mrs. Savage and Dan Patch.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
talking about racing, I thought that's the first time I heard about that.
Yeah.
That was, when you were a young woman, wasn't that something that was a part of your life then too?
Yeah.
Mrs. Savage, was she Mumsy's friend? The Savages?
Excuse me.
I'm going to opt out and let us review.
Well, I think,
Oh, it looked different over there.
Is it getting too tight?
Well, I just think it's fun to have the three of you.
Mrs. Savage
Oh, I'll have
It's
to
kind of
come
hard to
back
talk
over.
straight ahead too.
was a
Well,
friend
yes.
of Mumsy's,
Yeah.
and
All
then
right.
she,
You'll opt out, all right, cool. I'll let Robbie come back in a
I
minute.
vaguely
fine,
remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was a little lady, that's
Yes,
a very small,
she was.
Awfully nice.
figurey
person.
kind of
Yeah.
lady. But
Yeah.
I remember her pretty well, just briefly, but I thought Mother probably
Yeah.
had, and then the famous Dan Patch, you see, was, they
The
still,
horse.
yeah, they still talk about that. And the
was
racing
very-
department.
Yeah.
When you were talking about your father being a big man, was he big in the way Robbie is tall?
He was tall and he wasn't fat.
We have a pair of his riding breeches, don't they? And
Well, he's heavy. Yeah,
They're not
the
that big.
Children have tried, we have some of his army.
Oh, and are they very
Well,
large?
he was quite a broad,
I think so. He would. I don't think of him as fat though, ever.
well, he just had a big frame probably.
I think he had a big frame.
I think that was his uniform for the governor's honor guard.
Oh, whatever it is, we have the pants.
He was on the governor's staff. I
was
know.
someone in the Spanish American War? Is that, do we have?
Another family,
No, I was just wondering because I was thinking those two
a
together.
Richie.
All right.
There used to be a sword, I don't know whatever happened to that.
Hmm.
I don't either.
If you don't have it, we don't.
No, we don't have it.
I
Well,
don't think we do.
What was the uniform you wore for that dress up thing?
That was,
That was
the uniform,
Honor
but it went back to 818 Mount Curve.
I don't know where it is now. I've got it.
It was up in the attic at 818 Mount Curve.
Oh.
Well, the pants that we're talking about, David would never have fit you.
Oh.
Well, I don't think this thing fit me either.
This is these are army
Oh, these are breeches?
breeches.
Oh, well, this
That's all I ever saw.
thing,
I mean, the waist on that was this big.
I see.
So it would have fallen off of you.
Well, that would have been my father then.
Could be.
Oh, maybe he.
Oh, I think so.
He may have been that.
He could have had suspenders with him too, maybe.
Well, he may have been that heavy.
Because the picture that I can remember of him is with a black cape, looking very tall and kind of
Well,
austere.
he was a big man.
Well, that's why I wondered if, when Rob is standing, was he big, tall, in the way
Yeah.
Robbie is tall?
Yes, he was tall.
You probably got it from him.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Somebody back there was pretty tall, anyway.
yeah.
That's what I wondered. Well, you've been very nice to
Oh.
do this. It's a treat for us to have you
Well, it's
recorded.
fun
We'll
to try
invite
to-
you over to look at
Fun
it.
to try to remember.
You did very well.
I'm sure I don't know half of what I'd like to know.
You haven't told us half of what you really know.
No, I
I think you're keeping a lot of it from us.
I don't know anything.
Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do.
No, I really haven't any scandal to report.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, it was those days in North Dakota and in Prairie du Chien. We didn't hear too much about Prairie du Chien. We
Well,
were there.
Prairie du Chien is just,
well, you were pretty young
Yeah.
then, too.
well, I seem as though I still remember an awful lot of Prairie du Chien. I don't know how or why, but
Well, I suppose it was a very exciting time in your
yeah,
life.
I think it was. That was probably true. I love the Mississippi River. You were right on it. It was lovely.
Do you remember what kind of a house you lived in, or did you live in a house?
Oh, yes, we lived in just a kind of an ordinary
see.
nothing special.
Uh-huh.
But I love Prairie Sheen, that was a great place.
And that was your mother's home?
No, my
That
mother,
was just where the pearls were.
Well, the Pearls were there, your mother's home was outside of Madison, that's right.
Albany, Wisconsin is where she lived.
Did you ever tell me, or tell us, I should say, where they met? Your mother and father, how did they get together?
I haven't any idea.
Thought you might have heard that. Kind of
Well, I don't
interesting,
know,
because they're
she
two
lived
different,
in Wisconsin and he lived in Illinois.
maybe he was a traveler.
Well, maybe he
Through
was.
town.
Maybe he was. I don't imagine there's much of a courtship. He wouldn't have gone through a long courtship. 20 minutes would be quite a while.
He had too many other things to do.
Yeah. So I think it was a short one.
Okay, it's your turn now, you can come back.
That's fine.
No, you're next,
Well,
go back. Go back, there's an
whatever.
empty place.
Well, Mumsy was probably ready to give up the
Yeah.
classroom.
The family group.
Oh, absolutely. She was pretty young, too.
Yeah,
And a big family. She was
Sure.
Well, and it probably was exciting to go off and live in
Oh,
another,
absolutely.
but you
Well,
say
you
she didn't
know,
want to be very far away.
The pearl business was all brand new, too. That's what he went into.
mhm.
That's where.
Was her father involved in the pearl business
He
at
was a
all?
little bit,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
Maybe that's how
Maybe that's how they
they
met.
met.
That may have been because I know he was involved, nothing like my father, but
Uh-huh.
he did have some.
Maybe he
interest.
bought a pearl or two or something.
Oh, well, no, he dealt in them, I think, but I think my father was just I told you, go to New York one day and come back the next, and then go the next week again, and it was a terribly exciting time.
But he didn't know when he had to go either. It was just, he didn't have to know. I mean, he didn't know when he had to go. It just was.
Well, he
I've got
had to
some
go when he
information.
heard of it, wherever the
Yeah.
pearl was, he went. And that's why he
And
was
then
so
once he got
successful.
it, he got on a train to New York to sell it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's why he was so successful. He just absolutely, his whole life was getting those pearls.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if you do that, your name goes around and then people try to find you. So that was how he got going in that business.
Well, I think
Well, I
I'll,
think David's about to opt out. I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yes, very good.
That's,
Now you've
thank
got-
you, ma'am,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Now, this is all recorded.
All recorded.
every bit of it.
And thank you, Mrs. Price, very much for
Yes,
this interview.
for this fireside chat.
Yes.
I think you're very, I can't understand how that little thing can record all what we've talked about.
Well,
She could go and look at it, couldn't she?
Yeah, come on over if you want to.
Well,
Kitty. Hi, little baby. Smile. Wave the camera. Oh, come on. Wave to the camera. Hi. Hi. Come on. Dun, dun, dun. Look. Look, kitty. Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm a little kitty. Meow. Hi, mommy. Hi. Goo, goo, goo. Oh. Dangle your feet over the edge. Oh, you're just a little baby, aren't you? All right. Next scene will be Dad coming through the door. Hey, boss! What are you doing?
Are you filming?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
The red light is
There
on.
it is. Hi, Daddy.
I'm glad to be back. folks.
Yay, yay. Let's get you
Fresh.
mommy.
Fresh from my victory. Let me hang my coat up here just for a minute.
All right.
Cut.
Mommy, where are you? Dudes, don't go out.
Let me get the...
Mommy.
oh, welcome home! It's wonderful to have him home.
Let's get the kiss.
Hello! Oh, you look great. Tell us your speech.
Oh, too long and
How was
involved.
the Bar
It was
Association?
a big hit.
Where you going, Dad?
Wait,
All my clubs are here.
the speech makers have made it.
Yeah, well,
Was it warm today down there?
no, it was rainy and
Ah,
kind of cool.
too bad.
So it was probably better here than it was
73
down
here
there.
all day and car washing and
Cab driver said.
a lot of
Lots
nice
going
things.
on.
We thought about, did you go to visit Hilton Head?
I went down,
part- I mean,
I went
Hilton
down,
Head?
I took some pictures of the Hilton Head Inn, and I drove down to where I thought that lot was, and
Sea Pines.
Sea Pines,
I
and
see.
it's all built
Well,
up.
thank you, Robbie. This will be fun to have.
It's very important.
And now I